Hey, before we begin tonight, I wanted to share a quick note with you. My name is Manny, I'm one of the team members and producers behind the channel. Owen Thorne, the familiar voice you've come to know and trust, will be stepping away starting next week to begin a new chapter of his own. Owen asked me to thank you sincerely for letting his voice be a part of your evenings, your rest, and your peace. The stories will continue, just with a new voice to guide you. And we know you'll welcome him with the same warmth you've always had starting next week.
Welcome to Deep Sleep Stories, where gentle words and peaceful imaginings guide you toward the comforting realm of slumber. Tonight, you are invited to settle into a cozy space, allowing your body to sink softly against cushions and blankets. Let the day's responsibilities drift away as you close your eyes or soften your gaze. Listen to the patter of rain against the window and feel the soothing hush it brings. In a single breath, allow yourself to float into a world of calm. This evening's tale offers a glimpse into the secrets of Savannah, Georgia, on a gently rainy day, promising a subtle weave of mystery and warmth. Take a moment to notice the rhythm of your breathing. Inhale, drawing in fresh, peaceful air. Exhale, releasing any traces of restlessness or tension. Let your shoulders drop, unwinding the muscles in your neck. Feel your eyelids become heavier, welcoming the velvety hush of relaxation. The space around you grows softer and more serene, as though you stand at the threshold of a quiet sanctuary. Listen to the delicate hush of raindrops, like a lullaby just for you. Each droplet a tiny musical note that eases you further into comfort. The soft glow of lamplight in your imagination illuminates the world we will soon enter. Beyond the gentle curtain of rain, moss-laden oaks sweep overhead. Cobblestone streets glisten, and shuttered windows in historic mansions hint at stories from ages past. You need not do anything but receive these images with a calm spirit. There is no need to keep track or remember every detail. Instead, allow them to drift through your consciousness, like blossoms floating downstream on a slow river. If your mind wanders, that's perfectly fine. Simply return to the ease of your breath and the reassuring hush of falling rain. Let the weight of the day's concerns become lighter. Feel them loosen and release. Envision a soft wave of tranquil energy moving from the top of your head, down through your shoulders, into your chest, down your arms, and gently releasing through your fingertips. Another wave flows through your back and down your legs, dissolving any tension as it travels away from you, leaving you increasingly calm. Now, invite your thoughts to float effortlessly. A gentle sense of curiosity may arise, and that is all right. This is a time for rest and gentle exploration. In just a moment, the story will begin, and you can imagine it unfolding in a distant realm, far away from the busy world. You can let the soothing voice of the narrative carry you, meandering through quiet city squares and rain-washed avenues. take one more deep breath in, and as you sigh it out, you're ready to wander into the cool, mysterious beauty of Savannah, Georgia. The roads glimmer, the sky is a dark, hazy blue, and an ancient whisper seems to echo beneath each step on the damp cobblestones. With that gentle thought, let the journey begin. On a late afternoon in Savannah, thick clouds hung low over the graceful spires and ivy-draped walls. Rain began to fall in a fine mist, turning the air into a soft grey tapestry. A quiet figure strolled down the sidewalk, carrying a simple umbrella and wearing a light coat against the delicate chill. The damp breeze carried the scent of wet earth and spring blossoms. It was the kind of day that inspired a slow pace, a day for gentle observation rather than hurried errands. There was something about Savannah's historic district, an invisible thread woven through its architecture, gardens, and statues, that beckoned a wanderer to linger. Small rivulets ran along the edges of the cobblestones, creating subtle reflections of iron lampposts and ornate wrought iron railings. Droplets cascaded from overhanging balconies, adorned with potted ferns and flowers. Each splash on the pavement echoed in that soft hush that often comes with a steady rainfall. As the figure meandered past centuries-old mansions, a light in a window would sometimes flicker into being, casting a warm glow that cut through the sombre drizzle. Occasionally, an old shutter groaned, shifting in the wind, adding to the gentle chorus of weather and time. Beyond the wrought iron gates of one of the city's famous squares, tall oak trees sheltered patches of lawns. Their branches, thick with Spanish moss, swayed like lace curtains in the breeze. The figure paused at the entrance, gazing at the tranquil park. A statue stood in the centre, worn smooth by countless seasons of humidity and precipitation. The figure admired the sculpted form, the resolute expression etched upon its marble face. Even in the muted light, the statue seemed to hold stories, if one were only patient enough to listen. Passing through the gates, the traveller moved slowly across a path that cut through the grassy square. Under the protective canopy of the oaks, the rain softened even further, transforming into a mild drizzle. Despite the dampness, a comforting warmth lingered, as if the city itself exhaled the heat it had gathered over centuries. A memory of warm sunlight resonated in the bark of the trees and the stones of the buildings, forming an oddly pleasant mix of cool mist and retained heat. The traveller stopped by a wooden bench, droplets clinging to its slats. The bench faced a small fountain, its waters swirling in subdued motion beneath the drizzle. A few azalea bushes framed the area, their blooms turned downward in the rain, but still vibrant. This was the soul of Savannah, a gentle, unhurried atmosphere, steeped in the hush of old secrets and gentle rain. There were no urgent steps or loud voices here, only the gentle patter of droplets and the rustle of moss-laden branches. After a time, the figure rose and continued on, crossing the square and emerging onto a narrow street lined with antique shops and cozy cafes. Many shops had their doors propped open to invite in the faint breeze, though protective awnings shielded the entryways from the rain. Soft light glowed from the display windows, illuminating curios and collectibles. Vintage mirrors, lace tablecloths, old clocks that ticked in quiet unison. With each step, the traveller's shoes clicked against the stone, creating a soothing cadence that harmonized with the muted drizzle. A small bookstore, nestled between a tea house and an artisan studio, drew the traveller's attention. Its windows were fogged with the dampness outside, and through the moisture, shelves of hardcover books were just visible, lined up like old friends. A modest sign above the entrance declared its name in painted script, and a gentle chime sounded as the door eased open. Inside, the air felt warm and smelled of old paper and fresh brewed tea. The rain's rhythm receded behind the wooden door, transforming into a gentle background lullaby. Within the bookstore's intimate space, rows of shelves stretched from floor to ceiling, creating a snug labyrinth of stories. A few patrons browsed quietly, while a cat, curled upon a worn ottoman, watched with half-lidded eyes. Soft lamps placed at intervals along the aisles cast a golden glow, accentuating motes of dust that drifted in the warm air. A friendly clerk behind the counter greeted the traveller with a nod, recognizing a fellow seeker of quiet comfort. The traveller wandered between shelves, running fingertips across the spines of aged novels. Some volumes appeared battered, their titles faded. Others were proudly displayed in pristine condition. One slender book, bound in fabric with intricately embroidered designs, caught the traveller's eye. Its title was only faintly visible under the glow of a nearby lamp. For a moment, the traveller hesitated, drawn in by the near whisper of the cover's texture. Carefully, they pulled the book from its place and opened it to a random page. A single line captured the imagination. In the hush of the hour, secrets long buried stir like ghosts in the garden. There was something poetic about it, hinting at the quiet mysteries that lay just beneath Savannah's pretty surface. The traveller lingered, reading a few more passages, losing track of time in the gentle immersion that only old books can provide. Eventually, the traveller emerged from the reverie, re-shelved the volume, and wandered further into the store. In the back corner, a small reading nook invited visitors to sit. A low table offered cups of tea from a self-serve station, accompanied by jars of honey, sugar, and a small dish of lemon slices. The traveller poured a cup of mild chamomile, letting the fragrant steam swirl up and brush gently against the face. Outside the window, The world appeared softened by the rain, so different from the cozy dimness within. Every so often, a passing car rumbled quietly on the wet street, or a pair of pedestrians hurried along under a shared umbrella. Their figures would fade into the distance, swallowed again by the hush. After savouring the tea, the traveller decided it was time to move on. The old cat stretched languidly as they passed, then settled once more. The door's chimes sounded again, and the traveller stepped back into the soft, shimmering drizzle. The evening light was shifting, gradually fading into a dusky twilight. Street lamps flickered on, illuminating puddles and giving them a gentle, welcoming glow. Raindrops now had a slight silver glimmer in the lamplight, as if they'd been touched by moonlight. A few blocks away, a narrow lane led to an ivy-covered entrance. Behind it, a garden was rumoured to exist, one that had been part of the city's hidden tapestry for more than a century. Word had it that at certain times, usually on rainy days, one might glimpse mysterious apparitions drifting between the branches of magnolia trees. Though these stories were often told in hushed tones at local gatherings, no one seemed particularly afraid. Savannah's folklore was part of its charm, a gentle reminder that the city's history was rich with personality and subtle enchantment. The traveller passed under a wrought iron archway, trailing a hand across damp vines. Immediately, the city's mild bustle receded behind the walls. The patter of the rain, the distant roll of thunder, and the hush of greenery enveloped the senses. Here, a cobblestone path meandered through tall shrubs and magnolias, drooping with moisture. Lanterns on short posts lined the route, their yellow glow flickering, reflected in puddles dotting the walkway. Around a bend, the path opened into a quiet courtyard, bordered by brick walls, partially hidden by thick ivy and climbing roses. A solitary fountain dripped into a circular basin. Old benches sat under the eaves of magnolia branches, their seats worn smooth by time. One of them was occupied by an older woman, softly humming a tune as she watched the raindrops ripple across the surface of the fountain. She wore a dark shawl around her shoulders and balanced a delicate parasol above her, seeming content to simply observe. When she noticed the traveller, she smiled kindly, inviting a gentle moment of silent companionship. The traveller nodded, finding a seat on a nearby bench, listening to the hum. It was an old lullaby, familiar in its cadence, though the melody itself might have been unique to this place. The rain carried it in subtle echoes across the courtyard, weaving with the burble of the fountain and the distant sigh of wind. After a while, the older woman stood and offered a final nod before she made her way out, leaving the traveller to the peaceful space. For a time, the traveller closed weary eyes, letting all cares dissolve into the atmospheric hush. The soft rustle of leaves and the patter of droplets on the umbrella overhead provided a calming background. It felt like stepping out of time into a gentle bubble of tranquility. Eventually, a whisper of curiosity urged the traveller onward. Rising slowly from the bench, the visitor cast a final glance at the fountain, its surface trembling beneath the steady rainfall. As twilight deepened, the traveller emerged from the ivy-covered entrance back onto a street where Victorian and Gothic revival homes stood side by side. Illuminated by subtle porch lights, these grand, time-worn buildings had a presence all their own. Tales of hauntings and family lore clung to their walls like trailing vines. But tonight, everything felt calm, as though any lingering spirits were content to rest. The city exhaled a breath of gentle magic into the wet air, lulling all who roamed its streets. It was still early enough that some residents sat on their porches, sheltered from the rain, enjoying the temperate breeze of a balmy Savannah evening. A melody floated across the street from a nearby house, perhaps the soft notes of a piano drifting out into the damp air. Fireflies began to flicker in patches of darkness, their tiny lights dancing above wet grass. Now and then, a carriage passed, the sound of hooves subdued by the rain-slick roads. Following an unplanned route, the traveller eventually came upon an old church with tall stained glass windows. Candlelight flickered from within, giving each colourful panel a gentle glow. The traveller stood there for a moment, listening to the faint echo of footsteps on the church floor. A soft hush of reverence seemed to emanate from the structure. Often in Savannah, one could wander into a church to find a moment of reflection, or simply enjoy the serenity of the architecture. So, the traveller climbed a short set of stone steps and eased open the heavy wooden door. Inside, the space was vast and resonant. Rain drummed quietly on the high roof overhead. A handful of candles burned near the altar, their light shimmering across polished wooden pews. The stained glass windows, in the faint nighttime glow, offered gentle illusions. Angels and saints captured in colour, waiting patiently for daylight to share their brilliance. The traveller moved toward a pew near the centre, where a low arrangement of fresh flowers added a subtle perfume of lilies and greenery to the cool air. Finding a seat, the traveller let the weight of the day slide away. The hush of the church provided a protective cocoon, free from demands or obligations. Moments passed in contemplative silence. Each breath swelled with the gentle presence of centuries of faith and hope that lingered in the building's corners. The lights from outside glowed faintly through the windows, while inside, the subdued flicker of candles and the occasional flash of lightning in the distance created a mesmerizing interplay of shadows. When at last the traveller rose to leave, the soul felt lighter, as if the quiet hush of the sanctuary had gently dusted away any lingering burdens. Stepping back out into the night, the traveller found that the rain had slowed to an almost imperceptible drizzle. Mist gathered around the lampposts, swirling in the beams of light. The city's cobblestones, thoroughly washed by the rains, glistened like polished stones underfoot. A short way down the road stood an old inn, its windows aglow with a welcoming light. A sign with peeling gold lettering declared it to be the Magnolia Key. Potted ferns and a pair of rocking chairs adorned the front porch, adding to its genial, timeless charm. The door opened with a quiet creak, revealing a small lobby lit by a warm chandelier. Hues of amber and soft cream enveloped the interior, while gentle music played from an antique radio on a side table. A proprietor greeted the traveller with a gentle smile, offering a friendly welcome. The inn had an air of history and comfort. Polished wooden floors, a tall staircase, and walls decorated with old photographs of Savannah in decades gone by. An antique grandfather clock stood in one corner, its steady ticking a reminder of the slow, easy passage of time within these walls. After a cordial exchange, the traveller was handed a brass key attached to a wooden tag, etched with the number of a second-floor room. Ascending the old staircase, the traveller ran a hand along the polished banister. At the top, a narrow corridor stretched out, soft carpets muffling any footfalls. The hallway's sconces glowed with a subdued light, showcasing wallpaper patterned with slender vines. Doors spaced at even intervals, each carried a small plaque. Midway down, the traveller paused at the correct door and gently turned the key. The room inside welcomed with a gentle hush. A cosy bed stood near the centre, dressed in crisp linens and topped with a warm quilt. A small sitting area by the window offered 2 cushioned chairs and a low wooden table where a vintage lamp cast its mellow glow. The window, partially veiled by lace curtains, revealed the faint silhouette of swirling mist outside. Even the patter of rain was muffled here, reduced to a soothing hum against the glass. A tall wardrobe stood to one side, next to a shelf of old books, local histories and legends, judging by their spines. Across the floor lay a plush rug, inviting toes to sink into its softness. Setting down any belongings, the traveller removed a coat and draped it over a small wooden rack. The gentle ambience of the room drew the traveller to the window to watch the shimmering city below. Streets glimmered under lamplight, and the hush of rainfall continued to blanket the neighbourhood. In the distance, a tall oak swayed in a passing breeze, its Spanish moss rippling in silver threads. Soon the traveller turned away, ready to rest. The inn offered a teapot on a small counter near the wardrobe, along with a selection of calming herbal blends. Taking a few moments to boil water, the traveller chose a fragrant lavender and mint infusion. Steam rose in soft curls once the hot water was poured over the tea sachet. Carrying the warm mug to the plush chair by the window, the traveller settled in to sip. The mild flavours spread gentle warmth that seeped into the limbs, bringing a drowsy sense of contentment. A slight rumble of thunder off in the distance made the windows tremble, but only faintly. The traveller felt safe within these walls, cocooned in the hush of a gentle storm. Thoughts drifted back to the quiet bookstore, the hidden garden, the lullaby hummed by the old woman, and the comforting hush of the church. All these moments formed a tapestry of small, meaningful experiences, woven through the delicate threads of Savannah's rain-soaked mystery. Here, in this cozy upper room, the night deepened, and exhaustion surrendered to a rare feeling of peaceful wonder. Eventually, the traveller rose to tuck themselves into bed. The mattress sighed gently under the weight, enveloping with softness. The quilt, patterned with magnolia blooms, provided a comforting layer of warmth. Rain occasionally tapped at the window, as if offering a nighttime lullaby. Settling deeper into the pillows, the traveller let eyelids close, lulled by the knowledge that the city outside continued its ancient, patient breathing. The hush of Savannah's secrets, always present, yet never demanding, offered a companionable silence. Sleep hovered close, coaxed by the steady rhythm of droplets and the swirl of gentle air that occasionally drifted through a slight gap in the window. The traveller shifted once, rearranging pillows to perfect the nest of warmth. Then came stillness, the calm acceptance that the day was done. The room seemed to cradle its occupant, as if the walls themselves whispered an invitation to dream. In the hush of that invitation, the traveller's breathing became slower, deeper. Each inhale brought in the subtle fragrance of rain and distant blossoms. Each exhale carried away tension. Outside, the occasional flicker of lightning momentarily illuminated the rooftops, only to subside again, leaving the city wrapped in soft shadows. Within the traveller's mind, images of gently swaying moss and glowing lamplights danced, drifting into drowsy reverie. At last, sleep took hold, and the traveller's breath evened into the steady cadence of rest. Lulled by the echoes of quiet footsteps on cobblestones, the rustle of foliage, and the hush of centuries of secrets shared between raindrops and midnight, Savannah remained outside, as timeless as ever, content to watch over those who sought refuge in its mysterious charm. Now, all is tranquil. The story's soft edges begin to fade into the distance. The gentle hush of the rain can still be felt, like a soothing melody woven into the fabric of the night. The lights, the moss, the architecture, each piece drifts into a peaceful blur. Let each exhale carry you one step closer to serenity. The images of Savannah's squares and gardens grow quieter and gentler, like a lullaby guiding you along a moonlit path. The bustling day has passed. There is nowhere you need to be, nothing you need to do. In this enveloping calm, let your breathing slow naturally. Each inhale and exhale a reminder of the comfort that surrounds you. Feel your muscles soften, your eyelids growing heavier, your thoughts floating past like leaves on a quiet stream. The hush in the air tells you that it is time to rest, time to give your mind permission to wander where it wishes, without demands or constraints. Notice how each moment of silence between heartbeats feels like an invitation to sink deeper. You may sense the subtle energy of the city's mysteries, but they ask nothing of you now. The old statues, ancient oaks, and cobblestones have made their offering of gentle intrigue. All that remains is for you to surrender to the warmth of your bed, allowing yourself to drift off into a realm of healing, renewing sleep. Let the soothing hush drape over you like a soft blanket, each breath a promise of security and comfort. Thoughts drift, eyelids become heavy. The story fades into a pleasant echo meant to guide you into a place of deep rest. The night embraces you kindly, with the sound of raindrops a gentle lullaby lingering in your mind, leading you further into the sweet quiet of slumber. Good night, dear traveller. Sleep well.